Yo, what is good, everybody, and welcome back to another personal video. The first tier list that we had done in the last season was the most broken heroes of season 18, and obviously you enjoyed it so damn much, so I thought may as well bring it back, some easy content, and something you guys don't get to see all that often, considering most of our content is like top 500 based or unranked to GM or anything in between. So it's going to be a little bit nice to sit back, relax, and just discuss. If you guys want to hop in the comments, debate, argue with me, you name it, go for it. Nobody is going to be judged, all right? If you do not agree with what I am saying, do not be afraid to speak up, and that is all there is to it. So I'm going to pull up the tier list right now. We're not going to get, we're not going to overcomplicate things. I think what we're going to do is go from top to bottom on the hero list, and we're going to see what we think about each one and why that is. It won't take all that long. At least I hope it won't take long. The last time we did this video, I was streaming, so I was like talking to chat at the same time, so it may have been a little bit confusing between, what I was discussing versus what my chat was discussing, but this might be a little bit more accurate, and obviously, I'll make sure it is accurate. We'll start with Ana. Ana, in my opinion, at the moment, is a bad hero. With Double Shield still being in effect, with the new patch released, Sigma was nerfed, but Orisa is still as good as she was, or with Fortify adjusted. And Rein is supposedly back in meta. Tank players are still exploring with other heroes, obviously, but I still feel like Ana doesn't use her full utility as well as she could, or as well as she used to be able to. Ashe right now, and believe it or not, so the other day we uploaded a European-based game. We ended up on EU servers, and I actually think Ashe is a good hero, not the best hero. She doesn't offer the CC that is particularly required against Double Shield. She doesn't get all that much value if a Sigma plays or a Rein plays accordingly around her dynamites, but she's still really good for getting some decent ult charge up top the shields, but still doesn't get the necessary sight lines to actually be as effective as she used to be. Baptiste right now, everybody knows it. With the current buff, his fire rate was increased, and on top of it, Immortality Field is one of, if not the best ability in the game at the moment. I just think its HP is a little bit too high. They should reduce it just a smidge, man. It's not really fair. Bastion, okay, so Bastion is in a tight spot because shields are at least projectile shield health is being reduced, which makes him that much more that much more open to different picks like Hanzo. But I still think he's a good hero. I still think in Bunker Cup is viable with Baptiste being obviously in the best hero list. I just think Immortality enables Bastion that much more. Brigitte, currently, oh, this is a tough one, really. This is a tough one. Because Rein's movement speed was increased, I think that Brig is a little bit more viable considering you don't need a Lucio anymore with Reinhardt. And the armor buff alongside Orisa Fortify is definitely amplifies her gameplay. So I'm gonna put Brig in a good hero stance right now. She offers a lot of heals. Her armor buff obviously makes for a difficult challenge for anybody, and she's pretty good at 1v1ing certain heroes. So I'm gonna put Brig in good hero right now. You guys in the comments, remember, if you don't agree, let me know. I'm sure there's a lot of Brig mains who don't necessarily think she's that good, but Doomfist right now with the punch nerf. Okay, so before the punch nerf, obviously a best hero. I think that he was one of the only heroes that could bypass that current double shield meta, who doesn't necessarily regard sightlines. Like, he could just, do whatever he wanted. But now, since he does have that limitation on his punch, I'm going to throw him in good. You can take advantage of punch bots if they do just sit in the middle of point, just fucking charging up to full power. It takes quite a while. So you can always stop it. You can CC it. You can, do a couple of things. But Doom is still good. Like, he's still viable. He still is a threat to any team comp. Diva, bad hero. Anytime I see a Diva, it's a throw. And we're going to get into that reason very, very shortly with the DPS that stands above all right now. Genji. You know what? I'm going to put Genji as a meh hero. You might not agree with this. Most of you would probably say he's a bad hero. But I do think Genji, with the Shuriken buff, his ammo was increased. I think he's decent. Like, in the hands of a good Genji, he's amazing. There's obviously... I think Genji has the biggest skill gap in the game. If you don't agree with that, you're wrong. So I think Genji's a meh hero for that reason alone, but if it's a good Genji in this meta, he still has some sort of utility. I know Brig isn't good hero, But he's okay. He's still, like, I've seen really big blades. I've seen really shit blades. I've seen, you know, Genji's taking 4 minutes to build 1 ult. I've seen it, but I still think in the right hands, he's really good. But whereas the bad heroes, even in the right hands, they're so limited. Hammond, I'm going to put him in best hero. I think Hammond can build ult charge within 30 seconds, or at least a full ult within 30 seconds. I think Hammond, I mean, it depends, right? Like, it depends what the other team is running. We'll talk about Mei very shortly and the prowess Mei has on certain contests. But right now, I think Hammond's ult with the change to his mines, being as though they spread further. I think his zoning is probably the best in the game. It really is a zoning ult through and through. And the chances of at least getting 1 kill, 1 to 3 kills with mines is very, very high. Especially with the risk of being meta, just pull 9. It's almost guaranteed a kill if you're focused in the immortality field. But that goes on to our next hero. With the new patch, Hanzo is definitely in the best hero tier. I think Hanzo offers a lot of damage, a lot of shield break, especially with the risk of shield being so low. And at that, we're going to talk about Zen very shortly. Discord plus Hanzo Storm Arrow is an absolute terror, and I don't think anybody's going to disagree. Hanzo is very good right now. Junkrat, I'm going to throw him in good hero. I know on PC, Junkrat isn't nearly as popular, but on console, with aiming being that much more difficult, I think that aiming and game sense in general, I think that there are a lot of platinum tanks that have kind of climbed their way into top 500 with roll queue being a thing, but tanks just don't have the same map awareness, same game awareness, so Junkrats could just take full advantage and build their ult charge within, or their ult within 30 seconds, just like Hammond. The same applies. Lucio right now, I'm going to put him in fine. I still think, like, you know, environmentals will always be an important factor of the game. I think there's a lot of maps that are in the current rotation in Season 19 that favor environmentals, like Nepal, or my brain isn't thinking right now. But there's a couple of environmental-based maps that definitely help out Lucio. I'm going to put him fine because I know he doesn't output the same heals as, you know, the Baptiste, the Moira, and so on. And obviously doesn't get the utility that Zen has with his Discord. So, fine hero, decent ult, but I would still rather recycle immortality fields versus wait for, you know, 2.5 minutes for a beat drop. I mean, you're sacrificing a lot of time. McCree right now, this is a tough one, really. I'm going to put McCree in a meh hero. I don't think he doesn't output the same damage as Ashe. Obviously doesn't get those the one-shot potentials that Widow and Hanzo has. His ultimate is really good right now, considering double shield isn't nearly as powerful as it was in Season 18. But McCree's okay. I guess if you have the damage boost, he's that much better. But right now, with Baptiste Zen being meta, I don't know if McCree is as good. You know what I mean? He doesn't have that escape potential. He doesn't have that survivability that some of the other DPS have. He can't get high ground nearly as, or not as easily as Ashe and Widow can, or Hanzo, of course. He doesn't have wall climb, but McCree's okay. He's a meh hero. He's not a terrible hero, but he doesn't get the same value as he used to. And here we are, the moment everybody has been waiting for. Mei, definitely in the best hero. Mei right now, because of her multi-freeze, because she can freeze multiple people at once and hold choke really, really well against Reinhardt, and just overall, just so much contest, especially in a 2CP, like if you're looking at Temple of Anubis, Temple being one of the hardest maps to stop and you know, make sure that the stall doesn't go all that long. Mei is just so good. She is a literal map editor. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Mei is so good right now. You guys in the comments, I would like to hear why you think Mei is as good and as she is, and what the devs can do to fix it. I want to hear that. What do you think the devs should do to fix Mei? Should they just delete the fucking hero? At this rate, I think that should be the case. I'm sick of the hero. I'm tired of playing. If you're playing against a Mei and you do not have a Mei player, somebody who's comfortable on flexing 2 Mei on your team, you pretty much lose. All you have to do with Mei is save your ultimate until overtime, and you win. It's as simple as that. It really is as simple as that. But anyways, that's besides the point. Mercy at the moment, it's tough, dude. She doesn't have the same heal output as some of the other heroes, but I'm gonna say because, you know, you're saying like Ashe, you know, in the good hero tier list, and I was talking about McCree prior. I think Mercy's a fine hero. I think Mercy's a fine hero. You can still play Mercy, but I think Mercy players need to adapt to the current meta and focus on damaging, or like damage output, damage, like amplifying damage versus healing. It sounds weird, but if you can match the damage output of the other team with a Hanzo, with an Ashe, like, you'll probably win. I don't know what to tell you. Like, if you have an Ashe player on your team, shit, what did I just do? If you have an Ashe player on your team, playing Mercy is almost essential. Moira, so this is interesting. If we're talking about the beginning of Season 19, I would put her in the best hero. But because of her healing nerf, I'm gonna put her in good hero. I think that Moira still has a lot of value against double shield. Her coalescence is still really, really good. But that's about it. Okay, Orisa, I mean, this goes without saying. Orisa is obviously best hero. Even with the shield nerf, her Fortify buff is just broken. I'd say Fortify Fortify and Immortality Field are definitely the most broken abilities in the game. Orisa can just walk out of nearly half of the ultimates in the game, being Graviton, Sigma ult, I mean, Ryan Shatter, she can't walk out of it, but she can obviously fortify to make sure she doesn't get slammed to the ground. Mei ultimate, and so on. She's just so good in so many different ways and has the most utility for sure. Pull is obviously good for environmentals. Orisa is insane. Absolutely insane. And Reinhardt definitely makes that much better. Pharah, right now, Pharah is actually a good hero. I'm going to say Pharah is a good hero at the moment just because with Hanzo, Mei being meta, although it offers a lot of a lot of point presence, I think that Pharah Mercy is still really good, and you'll see it in a lot of different tournament settings like breaking barriers. A lot of people counter Hanzo Mei or Reaper Mei with Pharah as long as the Pharah has the ability to take advantage of that space given. But an average Pharah will not be enough. It's as simple as that. Reaper right now is going to be in the best hero. I think that even though I'm not sure, I still think Mei Reaper is really good. Obviously, it's not as good as Hanzo Mei at the moment, but if we're looking at the beginning of Season 19, and I have to kind of all-encompass Season 19 since that's what this video is about, Mei Reaper was just too difficult to deal with. Even with a Pharmacy, even with all the space in the world, with 222 being in lock, you know, all you have to do is just focus tanks and you win. It's an instant, almost an instant 6v4 on point. In any situation, it could be payload or control or 2CP, whatever the case may be. Reaper doesn't require nearly as much heals as other heroes, since obviously he has self heals based on the amount of damage output he does. But he's really good. Reinhardt right now is in good heroes, and I'm gonna say that right now. I know most people, oh, ew, but Reinhardt's meta. He's in the best hero. Like, the reason why I'm saying he's a good hero is that I feel as though a lot of main tank players have lost touch of Reinhardt and are not nearly as good at him as they used to be. Obviously, as time goes along, your game sense starts to fade. You know, you get so used to playing Orisa, which is pretty much a brain-dead hero. You get so used to playing Sigma, who is also a brain-dead hero and spamming shields, versus Reinhardt, who really requires a lot of shield presence and at the same time, aggressiveness and pathing. If you guys listen to Samito, he talks about it in some of his Twitter videos, but pathing is so important, and it seems like main tank players have lost that touch. Roadhog right now is a fine hero. I'm going to say he's a fine hero. The reason why is because Mei Reaper is meta, or Mei Hanzo is meta. You could definitely take advantage of a Roadhog hitting the flank. On console, he's especially good because nobody has any sense of map awareness, any sense of flank awareness. So Hog could take full advantage of the backline and just putting pressure on the backline. But I think Roadhog's good. Not necessarily bad. Not nearly as good as Ham, and not nearly as good as Orisa or Sigma. Speaking of which, we're going to put Sigma in good heroes. I would have put him in best heroes prior to the nerf because he had 0 shield cooldown, but then they nerfed it so that it was 1 second between shields, and then they nerfed him again so that his shield regeneration is slower. But Sigma has always been good. Soldier 76 is a bad hero. His ultimate gets close to 0 value. He doesn't do very much shield break. His heals are not nearly enough. His Helix rocket doesn't get all that much value, and he kind of feeds Sigma's what do you call it, flux, is that what it's called? I don't know, where he eats his like defense matrix, I guess. But no, Soldier's not all that good. I think Soldier definitely needs a rework by any means. What do you guys think they could do to Soldier? That's my question. I've talked about Soldier on stream before. I feel like, yo, hear me out, okay? We're not gonna go on a big tangent, but I feel like if they were to make Soldier's Helix rocket kind of like a homing missile, where so you shoot it, and then if you were to double tap L2 while it's in air, it kind of like a homing missile. That would be so cool. That would be so cool, and a great way to counter like a junk tire or you know, like, it just sounds like a really cool idea, although it wouldn't output as much damage. What if the normal Helix rocket without homing, like if you were to not double tap it, does more shield break? You know, give him a little bit more value. You don't necessarily need to change his abilities, but just kind of rework them. You know what I mean? Oh, this is a tough one. So Sombra has repeatedly been one of the most broken heroes in the game. Her EMP pretty much just nullifies the entire playing field. It's a team wipe, right? EMP is a team wipe. But right now, EMP is not nearly as easy to build in a team fight setting because of double shield. You know, the problem with Sombra back in the day was that it was so easy to build EMP. You could have EMP twice in a fight. But not anymore. I'm going to put Sombra... people get mad at me if I put her in fine hero because everybody continuously complains about Sombra. I'm going to put her in good hero just because I know Zen, I mean, he's coming up, but he's definitely the best hero right now, or at least good best heroes. Symmetra right now, I'm going to put Symmetra in a good hero right now. Even with her damage nerf and her damage per tick nerf, I still feel like Symmetra is an easy to play hero, which means... people who don't necessarily play DPS can flex to DPS in role queue and still climb pretty damn high, probably to 4,300, and not necessarily have all the ins and outs of being a DPS player and being a flex DPS player. I think Symmetra is really good on a couple of different maps like Lijiang Tower. You can TP straight to point, get point presence right away. Her teleport buff is definitely, I think they like increased it to 40 meters. I could be wrong, but I think her teleport buff is a huge difference maker. You don't necessarily need to push past choke in order to teleport. You can really play around corners and you know, teleport your team around the map without necessarily having them seen, which is really broken. It's really broken. She's good. She's really good. I think that with Sigma being a thing, she also gets all charge off Sigma when he's eating. Torb right now, listen, you guys are gonna fucking hate me for saying this. Okay, I'll put him in fine heroes just because I know Torb has some sort of negative stereotype about him. But Torb right now is viable simply because of his shield break and his zoning ult. We talk about Ham, we talk about Mei. A lot of these heroes have a zoning ult presence on the point. Torb is one of those heroes where if you save your ultimate for any overtime situation, his new ultimate pretty much ends the game. Pretty much ends the game. If you know how to conserve it properly and you know how to spread it properly, Torb is really solid. Obviously Turret is also really good against shield. I don't know, dude. I think Torb is a good player, or a good hero to pick, but not, I don't know, not necessarily as good as the rest. Tracer right now, even if she had, you know what, I'm gonna put Tracer in Meh heroes, dude. I'm not gonna put him on the same level as Ana, Diva, Soldier. I think Tracer with her range buff, she could do max damage at, I want to say 15 meters, but I could be wrong. I don't remember the new patch, but Tracer's really good right now. Her pulse or I think her pulse damage was buffed as well, but she's good. She's good. I mean, in the hands of the right person. That's the thing, is it kind of follows the same phenomenon as Genji, where in the hands of the right person, like, you can absolutely exploit any team's backline. Widowmaker, she's a good hero with double shield nerf. She still can get a lot of sightlines, still get that one shot potential, but not nearly as good as Hanzo. She kind of follows the same effectiveness as Ashe, but still gets more one shots. But Ashe's dynamite is really good against double shield. It's hard. They're kind of on the same playing field. I argue with Chad a lot about this. Winston got a buff, but I still don't think his ultimate is nearly as good. I forget who it was, but it was somebody on Twitter, a pro Overwatch League player, that was saying that Fortify is better than Winston's ult, and that's sad. And I do agree with that statement. I'm gonna put him in fine heroes. I think that Winston Hammond is actually pretty good. Again, in the hands of the right people, dive can work. Okay, dive can definitely work. I've seen it happen in a lot of my games. In a previous upload, I think it was the last upload, we had a dive, or both teams were running a dive meta. It was a Winston Hammond dive meta. It was really good. It was really fun, really engaging. Focus fire still exists, so that's really good. Zarya, I'm going to put Zarya as a fine hero. You might not agree with this statement since she got her damage nerf, but I think Zarya does get a lot of ult charge, especially if somebody's running a Junkrat or Zarya's okay. Like, if you see the other team is running a Brig, and usually it'll be like a Brig Moira. Brig Moira is still a pretty good healer composition. That means there are 0 support ults for her Graviton Surge, and even then you can run like Hanzo, Zarya, and absolutely exploit Brigitte. So I think Zarya is good in certain scenarios, but not nearly enough to be a good hero or a best hero. And to finish off the tier list, Zenyatta right now has finally made it back into meta, with Baptiste Zen being meta. I think we're going to put him in best hero. Running the Discord is really important for Orisa's Fortify buff. It's the easiest way to melt her down, because obviously Fortify is that much more broken with the armor buff. And on top of it, she gets Fortify a lot faster because they reduce the cooldown. I think Zen is really good. It obviously depends on the player. The thing is, on PC, I know it's really solid. However, on console, all the Zen players, I think, transitioned to PCs, so we lost a lot of them. But people are finally starting to, you know, raise their game sense, finally starting to learn how to position themselves in the back line, make sure that a flanker, for example, Tracer or Genji. But that's the problem, is that the meta kind of... The meta doesn't favor these flankers anymore. Obviously, Doomfist is still good. You got to be really careful about Doomfist players attacking your Zed at the backline. But that's a matter of peeling. And that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed this tier list, I think we'll do another one for Season 20. Let me know right now in the comments. I was going to say in the chat, but in the comments, let me know. Have a great rest of your day. I appreciate you guys watching. Remember, we're going to be uploading another video tomorrow, Wednesday the 25th, so be on the lookout for that. Thank you again for watching. Have a great rest of your day, night, whatever the case may be. See you later.